So should you invest or pay off debt? Well, that is the million-dollar question. Now, when I started on this personal finance journey, this is something that I questioned all the time. And to be honest, I was getting a little bit confused because whenever I try and research, a lot of these videos were US based. So I couldn't really understand whether I should be paying off certain things or whether I should just be investing. So in this video, I'm actually going to help you decide on this very topic. And of course, I'll be sharing my own opinion on it too. But before we get into that, you probably already know if you do actually like this video, it does support the channel, so feel free to do that. So why is this even a question? Why is it so difficult to decide? Well, answering this question can be a little bit more complex than people might think because number one, it's going to depend on your own personal circumstances. But also number two, it will depend on your own perceptions and your emotions as well. So let's first talk about why you might want to pay off your debt before you start investing. If you've heard of Dave Ramsey before, then he's pretty much in this camp, okay? So he absolutely hates all kinds of debt. No matter what the debt is, it's a no-no for him. So in his teachings, he has something called baby steps, and with that, he's encouraging you to really pay off your debt first before you actually start investing. Now, in these baby steps, when it comes to paying off debt, he wants you to pay everything off except for the house. So that would include things like your credit card debt, your store card, any personal loans, if your car is on finance, and student loans as well. Now, again, when it comes to student loans, the US is very different from the UK. I have already done a detailed video talking through the UK student loans and whether you should be overpaying it or not. So if you haven't watched that, I will link that up here for you and in the description below. But ideally, he wants you to pay all of those debts off first, but then he also wants you to be paying off the house once you've got an emergency fund and once you're also putting a certain amount into your 401k. And I don't want to dabble too much on the 401k in this video, but that is what the US will use, where you will contribute and your employer will contribute to that as well. So it's a little bit similar but different to our pensions in the UK. But ideally, once you've made those contributions, then he wants you to be overpaying on your mortgage before you actually start investing anywhere else. So why would you choose to pay your debt off before investing? Well, a lot of it is due to the fact that you'll actually get a guaranteed return if you do end up paying off your debt. Because if, for example, you're paying about 15% interest to the credit card company, if you end up overpaying on that debt, then that means you don't end up having to pay that 15% interest to that credit card company. And along with that, when it comes to things like consumer debt, you might find that your returns are going to be higher by paying off that debt rather than investing in the stock market. So again, using my previous example, if you're paying about 15% interest rate to your credit card, then that's probably going to be a larger return compared to some of the returns you might get at the stock market. So yeah, most people would be happy to obviously pay off their high interest debt. But what about when it comes to things that have a relatively low interest rate like your mortgage? Well, that's also an interesting one. So a lot of people would be happy to just pay off their mortgage because number one, again, you're getting a guaranteed return because you won't have to pay any of the extra interest payments. Number two, there's probably some psychological benefits with that because for a lot of people, your mortgage is probably going to be your biggest cost. So if you're able to get rid of that, you don't have to worry about paying a mortgage. And if things happen like you lose your job or we're in a deep recession, you don't have to worry about making any extra payments when it comes to your mortgage. How are you only working 4 hours a week? We've basically got the same house, but I've still got a £500,000 mortgage on it. Well, I'm actually mortgage free. I paid it off a few months ago. How did you do that? Sign me up. And then the third reason might be the fact that because you've actually paid off your mortgage, you're likely to have a lot more cash in your hand. So it means that you can put even more towards your investments. Now, when it comes to it, answering the question on whether you should actually pay off your mortgage early or not is a whole nother topic. So we'll park that for now. But again, a lot of people are going to love the idea of being totally debt free before they even start investing. Yeah, that sounds amazing. So why would I even bother investing? Guys, when it comes to investing, those are one of the key levers to help you build wealth. So it is relatively important, especially if you're looking to become financially independent and you don't just want to depend on the government. So a lot of the reasons why people would choose to invest first is to really take advantage of compound interest. Now, I do have a video talking about how you can become a millionaire and the benefits of compound interest. So I don't really want to dive into that too much now. But if you haven't seen that, then I will link that up here for you and in the description below. But ideally, the earlier you start investing, then the more your money can end up compounding over time. So in essence, rather than paying off debt, you're actually investing that money and letting that money grow. So let's say, for example, that you had £500 extra a month. Well, rather than putting that towards your debt, potentially you could be investing that instead. So you would be investing £500 consistently every single month. So if you consistently did that for the next 15 years, and let's say you were able to get a 7% on average return on your money, well, you might end up having over £159,000, although I'm not accounting for inflation here. And for a lot of people, £159,000 is a huge chunk of change. So again, that's a major reason why people will choose to invest rather than pay off debt, because the longer you leave your money to compound over time, essentially the more it's likely to grow over time. Another reason is that the returns that you get on your investment could potentially be higher than paying off your debt. So for example, if you're paying a 2% 4% interest rate on your mortgage, but through investing in the stock market you're able to get an 8 or 9% return, then that's probably going to look a bit more attractive. Okay, so I'm just going to forget about paying off my debts and let's just put all my money into the stock market so I can get rich. Now remember, when it does come to investing, it does have risk, so you're not always going to be guaranteed to make a return every single year. And remember, I am not a financial advisor, so make sure you are doing your research if you do decide to start investing. Again, I do already have videos on how you can actually start investing, especially if you are a beginner, so of course that will be linked up here for you and in the description below. But if there's a year where you start investing in the stock market and your investment actually goes down instead of up, then you may have preferred to just get a guaranteed return on your money by just paying off your debt instead. But then again, as we've seen in past performances, yes, sometimes the stock market might dip or there may be a crash, but over the long term the stock market has generally gone up. Although yes, we can't always predict the future with the past, but it can be a good indicator. So what am I supposed to do then? Okay, so here's my opinion, and remember guys, this is just my opinion, that is it. I'm not a financial advisor, so just remember that. So if it was me, if I have any high interest debt, so for example if you've got any credit card debt or store cards or car loans, then I would definitely be prioritizing that and paying that off as soon as possible, because guys, your credit cards are skinning you alive. Okay, I keep saying it, it's double-digit interest rates. So what about debts that might have a lower interest rate, like student loans for example? When it comes to student loans, again, that's going to depend on your personal circumstance and also your income as well, so in terms of how much you earn. Again, in my video I talk about different scenarios where you might want to actually overpay on your student loan, but if you see that within that 30-year time scale you're probably not going to end up paying off the whole debt, then I would probably just be making my normal payments and then I would prioritize investing. Again, not telling you what to do, this is just my opinion. Now when it comes to mortgages, this is probably a bit more complex. So yes, when you think about logic, then yeah, ideally you would be investing rather than paying off your mortgage. But then guys, if you bring emotions into that, being mortgage free is going to feel amazing for a lot of people. Now potentially you could wholeheartedly just pay off your mortgage or decide to just invest all of your money, but you could also take a hybrid approach. So if it was me, then there are two scenarios. The first one, if I've got some extra cash, then I will probably split it in half. So half of it I will put towards overpaying my mortgage, and then the other half I will put towards investing. Okay, so I've got spare £500 cash. I'm thinking 250 into my mortgage and then 250 into my stocks and shares ISA. Yeah, I think I'll go with that. So that means that I get to benefit from both because I'm investing for my future, but then I'm also paying off that debt slowly as well. The second option would be to use all of your spare cash to start investing, and then with that you're able to let your investments grow, and then obviously you can enjoy the returns. But then once your investment pot starts to really build up, you could potentially take some of that money out and then throw it at your mortgage. So rather than overpaying for your mortgage every single month, you could then just take that money and then overpay that mortgage that one time. Obviously you might have to account for early repayment fees, but that is also an option you could take. It's also going to depend on your age as well. So for example, if you're nearing retirement, then you probably might want to actually start overpaying on your mortgage. But if you're slightly younger, let's say you're in your 20s and 30s, then you might want to prioritize investing first and then paying off your mortgage after some time. Again, it's up to you to make that decision. But if you did like this video, then remember to give me a thumbs up if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments, would you rather invest or pay off debt? I do post every Tuesday and Friday, so if you would like to know more, then feel free to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys on Tuesday.